I guess I would say that my fitness journey actually started when I was still very young. I must have been about 8, 9. And at that time, we lived in a township, Emlazi. And my parents used to be very obsessed about us being indoors and not basically being outside, because at the time when I grew up, it was a time where there were all these riots that were happening in the township. So they wanted us to be indoors and be protected from all these things that were happening. So part of the way that they actually kept us indoors was that they then involved us in a lot of fitness routines. I remember at that time they actually had an uncle that was a black belt. He had a black belt in karate. And my very first recollection of exercise was in our home garage, where Usensei, as we called him, would then be inside and teaching us those karate moves and getting us all excited about things that were happening. And he was a stickler for discipline. So he would then get us into the garage and would make those karate moves. But then he also started introducing us to running, and on weekends he would run with us. So that's basically where it started, just as a way of my parents wanting to get us out of the streets and making sure that we're at home. And then I had a father, obviously, who was very obsessed with tennis, and he wanted all of us to end up in Wimbledon. And because of my physique, he then looked at me and he felt I was one of those that had a chance of actually making it there. And then we started being quite serious about exercise. I started getting coached in tennis with my siblings, and would wake up on a Saturday morning, go to a place called Wema, where we will then be had different coaches who were teaching us tennis. And because tennis is quite an involved sport, he then felt that it was very important for us to also have the training side right. So we would go for runs. We would do a lot of weightlifting with our sensei, Babu Nyamezeli. We will do a lot of core exercises, a lot of cardio exercises, because he wanted to make sure that we were brilliant tennis players. So it started off with as off the streets, and then an obsession with tennis. So I went and I started exercising. But as I grew older, I then realized that as much as I hated waking up in the morning and doing all these routines with exercises, it actually was good for me. Because every time that when I came back from tennis, there's just something that it changed in my head. It righted a lot of things. I hardly ever got ill. So I realized that exercise has benefits. So yeah, that's how my journey started. I must say I really had an amazing childhood. There are 6 of us at home, my siblings, so it's 4 girls and 2 boys. But because my parents were quite obsessed with just bettering people's lives, we then ended up having cousins that came to stay with us. So it was a house filled with a hive of activities. And I had parents that were quite involved in a lot of things that we did. They were involved in our education. So we had Saturday classes where they had all these people coming into my house and teaching us, our different school syllabuses to make sure that we are always ahead of the game. But they also believed that it had to be a combination of things. A healthy mind and a healthy body makes for a full individual. So that's how I grew up. I grew up knowing that you had to be physically fit and mentally fit for you to be able to excel in whatever that you are doing. So even though we were indoors in the sense that we were within our parents' yard, but we did a lot of things outside. I remember, at the back of our house, because we had quite a big yard, my father then built this makeshift tennis court. So we started practicing at home. We had a tennis wall, and would play a round of tennis with quite a number of people, neighborhood kids that would come to my house. We did a lot of exercises on the yard. So it was indoors in the yard, but outside. And as I'd indicated before, my nice memory is the memory of the sensei, who then taught us all those karate moves, and would do the jumping jacks, leapfrogs, all of these things outside. So as much as it was an indoors, I actually didn't feel like we were restricted, because our parents just strongly believed that you had to be outside and play as much as you can, read as much as you can. As you can see, I've taken that with me, because half the time, if I'm not outside exercising, as you can see around here, I have quite a number of books and I get absorbed in books, and that was cultivated in my childhood. And as I said, I have absolutely fond memories. I had an amazing childhood with parents that were quite supportive in a lot of things that I'm doing. Let's fast forward to my 20s. I started working. Oh my word. I think I just got too excited by the fact that I had a job. So I forgot completely about exercise. I started enjoying my money. And I remember when I first started working, where I worked, it was in town. And right down by the street was a dipper chip vendor that I absolutely loved. So imagine you now have this money, you're still living at home. So I lived large. And part of my living large was an indulgence in terms of those dipper chip. So pretty much every day I was there. And as you know, if you are not active and you indulge a little bit in terms of those nices, I gained a lot of weight. And it was actually quite... and the funny thing about weight gain is that you don't feel it. It's gradual. So one day I woke up and I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like, who the hell is this person? I've always been fit, and then suddenly I'm struggling to do a lot of things that I used to be able to do quite well. I am struggling sometimes to even breathe properly. So one day I then decided, no, something is not right. I went and I saw the doctor. And for the first time, I was confronted with the reality of what I'd done to myself. Because he basically told me that you are short. 2, you are flipping overweight now. Do something about it. Because if you don't, you are now going to be borderline, like I was borderline now diabetic. I was at the stage where things were just not working out. And because you've gained weight, your self-esteem goes down. And I started hiding and all of those things. And then he said to me, you know what? You tell me that you've been quite active as a child. Go back to the activities that made you feel nice about yourself. So the first thing that I did was I started running. Because running and me we've always been friends. So I started running, and I would just run around the block, around the neighborhood, in the flat where I stayed at the time. And as I started running, I started realizing that I was now regaining that enthusiasm and exuberance of youth that I'd had before this thing happened. So I shedded weight. I literally ran myself thin. And then once I had done that, I then joined a lady. I remember very well. She was at DHS and she had a gym there. And her name was Nolene. And when I joined her, I was just, when at that stage where you're losing, but you are not there yet. So I went to her, and one thing she said to me, she said, you know what? You're on the right track in terms of your cardio stuff that you're doing. But what she then introduced me to was the fact that if you want to really lose weight, it's a combination of what you put in your mouth, so you're eating, as well as what you do in terms of physical exercise. And the most interesting thing then she then said to me was that this whole weight loss thing is then 70% eating and 30% what you do. So she introduced me to an eating plan, and with that, as well as what she was helping me do in terms of physical exercises, I must say I lost a lot of weight. But it wasn't a bad weight loss where you're now suddenly so skinny that people are like, are you sick? No. What she did was she actually shaped me. I started having like a nice definition and all of that. And with that, I started getting a lot more compliments. So I could literally say, without sounding dramatic, because a lot of my friends say I'm a drama queen, what I did then saved my life in a lot of ways. It saved my life in the sense that I started regaining my self-esteem. But the nice thing is I started regaining my self-esteem, a lot of other things in my life started going even better. I started getting noticed at work because when you are confident, a lot of things just start falling into place. And with the confidence that I was gaining from the compliments that I was getting from people, my work started improving as well. And I started gaining accolades. I started getting recognition awards for the stuff that I was doing. And I soon realized that had I not embarked on this journey of exercise and all of those things, these positive things that were happening in my life would actually not have happened. One thing also I realized was that there's something that, like this lifestyle does in terms of your psyche. Not only does it help you in terms of looking good and your fitness, but there's also a level of discipline that it teaches you, because it takes a lot of commitment for you to be able to wake up every single morning and committing to going to gym. And it takes a lot of self-restraint and strength of mind for you to say no to that ice cream, for you to say no to that chocolate bar that's forever calling you, and to commit to eating well. It takes a certain mindset. And I soon realized that this lifestyle was actually empowering. This lifestyle was doing a lot more positive. And I then decided, you know what? I will be a fool if I let it go. So what started off as, oh my word, I need to lose weight, ended up being more than just the weight loss. It became a lifestyle that had a lot of positive things. And I must say I haven't looked back since. I really have not looked back since. Let me maybe start with Harvey. I met him in my 20s, mid to late 20s, and he was an integral part of my weight loss journey. He actually was my support structure. So when I started running, he would run with me. And as we were running, I think that's where we got to know each other quite well. So it became a hobby for us. So we'll wake up in the morning, I'll meet him at his flat, we'll then run from Morningside to the beachfront, and the run became our talk. And as we were talking, we got to know each other, our likes, our dislikes, and our bond strengthened, and the relationship deepened to the next level. And I guess when all those things that were happening when he was helping me is probably the main reason why 18 years later we're still married, and we're still going strong, because ours has always been a connection at a deep level, and the running allowed for that connection to happen. So it's been quite a lovely one, in that we are physical. We help each other in terms of encouraging each other to be fit, to be well, and that has been then transferred to our kids, who we also strongly believe they need to a healthy body is what we are striving for. And a healthy body is not just a body itself, but it's also the mind. And as I said before, an exercise does exactly that. So our kids also are quite active young little people who obviously like teenage. I now have teenage kids, and there are days where I would say to them, you know what, break them out of bed and I'm like, let's go exercise. And fortunately, they are also in schools that are quite active in terms of sport, so they get that side of things. But this lifestyle for us has actually been one of those, the best ones, and it's a way that we bond as a family. Now and again, I would go outside with my kids and we have these exercise routines, and we compete with each other. They think that they can outrun me, and I must say, sorry Liano and Kosti, I always beat them because obviously I have age as an advantage, and I've been in this journey for a lot longer. So we bond that way by going outside and doing the various exercises. And obviously they will show off because now there are certain things because of my age that I can do, and they will then do a lot more of those, and we bond that way. I'm also quite strict in terms of the way that they eat. So again, because of the learnings that I had in the past, that it's not just about the physical side of things, but it's also about, like what you put in your mouth. I'm also quite conscious of the way that they eat, and I try as much as possible to actually get them to eat well. And obviously, like teenagers, now and again we do have chips, and McDonald's is one of those that they love. So I then give them a leeway where they can have their McDonald's if they want to. But your question is, how has it helped us? We bond as a family, and we bond through exercise, and we bond through other things that we find quite exciting. My firstborn, for instance, is very much into gaming, and he wants to study programming. And he's basically then told me that, like all these things that we do are an inspiration for him to create a program that she could drive around, like fitness and all of those things. And I'm looking forward to doing that. The younger one is still discovering himself, but there's quite a lot of things that we do. But what I like is that I'm present in their lives, and I am healthy. And because I'm healthy, it means that I can do a lot more things that other people are not necessarily able to do. And this lifestyle is honestly allowing me to do that. It's allowing me to enjoy my kids. It's allowing me to run around with my kids. It's allowing me to do a lot of other things that are quite positive, because that's what it does. It just creates, it builds yourself, it builds your mindset such that you are able to be positive most of the time because of all these things that are happening. Yeah. I must say, one thing that I always encourage people to do is I always say, find your work soldiers, people that are going to support you no matter what. Now, when I talk about that, I'm talking about friends that are going to support your lifestyle, friends that are going to ensure that you are able to remain true to what you're setting yourself out to achieve. So one of the people that I really want to single out here, I have a friend and her name is Ella. Ella is a dietitian who's quite involved in terms of this whole wellness lifestyle. And she's a strong proponent of, you need to, if you are going to be a better person from a wellness point of view, you need to make sure that even your support structure is involved in your journey. So Ella then started this family boot camp, and I became a regular feature in her boot camps that she used to do pretty much all over KZN. She'll set up boot camp at the beachfront, and because I'm also quite a lover of dancing, I then got to be a regular feature in her boot camps, as they first called me the dancing coach, because I would then go in there and I would teach people dance aerobics, and they would have fun in doing so. So I became dancing coach. And for some reason, every time when I was dancing, I'd almost be like flying all over. So suddenly people would be like, flying coach, flying coach. And that's how I ended up then becoming, getting a name, Flying Coach. And I guess I fell in love with that name, and that is what I then took with me. And Flying Coach has now become my brand. It's synonymous to me. And it has a lot of connotations in it, because I strongly believe that in me, allowing people to have a wellness lifestyle, I'm almost unleashing the giants in them and allowing them to fly. So I'm Flying Coach because of what I was given, but I'm Flying Coach because of what I do symbolizes for others. I flew literally when I took on this lifestyle. As I'd indicated to you, I started gaining accolades because I was quite confident, and the confidence then propelled me to greater heights. So when you are propelled to greater heights, it's like you are flying. Hence the reason then I'm saying I'm a flying coach, because I propel people to greater heights. Had it not been for Ella then involving me in these dance aerobics, I think then I would not have realized that there are a lot more other facets when it comes to wellness. So wellness of the mind, wellness of the body, wellness of the family are all the things that you need to be looking at if you want to make sure that you have this lifestyle that's going to take you to other places. And as soon as you are well and your brain is well, it allows you to then do other things that are going to propel you to greater heights. You fly. So that's where it is. Friends have always been an integral part. Then I have family who are a support structure outside my husband and my kids. My siblings have been quite supportive, and they are the ones that are basically encouraging me to take this flying coach thing to the next level, because I'm realizing that I can make a business out of it. And because I've created these networks, I can then start a business that basically look at a person holistically. I know psychologists who are friends who have been involved in some of the interviews that I've done on my YouTube page. So I'm wanting to rope them in. My friend Ella was a dietitian. I'm wanting to rope them in because, as I always say, a healthy mind allows you to do a whole host of other things. And a healthy mind is built out of the things that you do in terms of your physical exercise. So as you can see, I'm very passionate about this one because literally for me, it has been a lifesaver. First thing I want to say to people, you have to be inspired, motivated, and involved. If you remember those 3 words, it's going to take you far. Second thing that I want to say to people, this is a lifestyle, not a point in time, it's a lifestyle. And it does a lot for you. It changes other aspects. So that's the second thing that I want people to know. The third thing that I want people to know is surround yourself with people that will support you. It makes things easy. Surround yourself with people that will support you. The fourth thing that I want to say to people is commit for gain. That's the only way that you can make this work. Commit for gain. And the last thing that I want to say to people is when you get this right, it's a catalyst for other things in your life getting right as well. For me, it propelled me. I'm in a room that I love, and behind me there, or right in front of me there, are my accolades. that are a reminder of how this lifestyle has actually propelled me to greater heights. So commit to get to greater heights. Those are the 5 things that I want to say to people.